A Fort Worth firm, M-Tech, is responsible for nearly all of the cleanup from this mess. You can see where they're working down the road. That's where a truck carrying several tons of pesticides hit a sign and burst into flames. Trucks began loading containers just before 8, almost 36 hours after the accident. A special temporary storage permit and federally approved shipping manifest was needed before the hazardous waste could be moved.
What kind of chemical it is, what kind of dirt you're hauling.
Meeting and often exceeding federal safety standards meant the cleanup was slow yet careful. Soil samples were taken, and tissue was used to wipe the highway pavement to check for contamination from the spilled pesticide, Aldicarb.
It's a fairly complex analytical procedure that takes some time.
The test will detect contamination as low as 10 or 20 parts per million, even though the EPA will allow 100. The Texas Department of Transportation is moving cautiously now during cleanup to avoid future problems.
And then a day, 2 days, a week from now, have people start developing some sort of, disease symptom.
The evacuation kept some kids out of school, lost attendance revenue, and running the shelters cost Mesquite ISD about $36,000. The evacuation went well, but there's room for improvement.
We're still not exactly prepared for those multi-jurisdictional incidents like we had this time.
The dirt and spilled pesticide are on their way to a storage and treatment facility in Houston. As for the highway, they hope to have the westbound side open by midnight. This side, the side where the accident occurred, will be open by daybreak. No word on what caused the accident. Mike and Jane, Dallas County medical examiners waiting for dental records to make a positive identification on the driver's remains. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Cliff.
Well, experts are still at the crash site cleanup where the 18-wheeler went up in flames. Westbound I-20 reopened last night, and eastbound traffic was allowed through early this morning. Rebecca Aguilar joins us live from Balch Springs with more. Rebecca?
Well, Sean, the Direct Transit Trucking Company, one of the companies involved in Thursday's accident, was out here handing out checks, giving checks, reimbursement checks to people forced out of their homes on Thursday, and the process ran smoothly. Balch Spring residents showed up with receipts and claims for reimbursement checks. They came in past the time reading or standing in line. After a 20-minute wait, it was time to face insurance agents representing the trucking company involved in Thursday's accident.
The ones that I'm aware of are being reimbursed for their motel rooms, their food expenses, medical expenses, clothing, things of that sort, and also if they've lost time from work.
Some residents claim they approve of the way they're being paid back for the inconvenience. So you don't have any kind of complaints against the company or the city?
No, not really. I'm happy with the way they handled it.
But Mary Perdue says her food reimbursement check for $48 will not erase her family's fear left by memories of Thursday's accident.
Youngest daughter that was 8 years old, she cried all night that she was going to die. She was scared. She never slept the whole night. She kept coming in my room, Mom, I'm scared, something's going to get me. And it made me very angry.
While some residents find comfort in receiving money for their expenses, many agree the accident gave them a dose of reality. What lesson have you learned with this accident? What do you think?
Not to take life for granted. Not to take anything.
Now, the Balch Springs Municipal Center, this one here, the door shut at 5 o'clock today. If you have money coming back to you, please call City Hall on Monday, and they'll let you know how you can get your money. Back to you.
Rebecca, a lot of people being reimbursed for things. The woman talking about her daughter, any talk of psychological counseling available for these folks?
Well, the insurance people did not want to talk on camera, first of all, but they said that anything that is intricate and elaborate as something like that, or any kind of business losses, that's something else that people are out here claiming, business losses. Well, they'll have to talk to their insurance people to try to talk to these insurance people. There's going to be a lot of red tape.
Okay. Rebecca Aguilar in Balch Springs. Thank you.
The area. They're about to break the fire.
By late afternoon, they decided to widen the area of evacuation and make a final assault on the fire. Front-end loaders were brought in carrying sand in hopes of smothering the fire out. We're back now live. You can see the hazmat team. They're dumping water on each other because even coming in contact with this very dangerous pesticide could be deadly, so they're washing each other off. We'll stay here on the scene and hope to bring you updates as warranted throughout the evening, and of course a full update tonight on Night Beat.
Goes without saying that Interstate 20 is closed at that point right now,
It
Jeff.
sure is.
All right. Thank you very much, Jeff Crilly in Balch Springs.
Water on it would make the situation worse.
Fire itself was the diesel fuel from the truck, the paper sacking, and the cardboard boxes that the sacks were packed in. The powder itself, if you don't add water to it, you add water to it to use it as a pesticide. It's just a powder. We put water on it, it becomes a dangerous chemical.
As a precaution, authorities shut down this portion of Interstate 20 and rerouted traffic. They say the road will remain closed at least through noon tomorrow. One Balch Springs city official said this shows how dangerous it can be to transport chemicals through town.
We had a middle school just about a mile or two up the road. Had the wind shifted just a few more degrees, they'd have took a direct shot from the fumes.
Hazardous materials experts first poured a dry chemical, CO2, on the blaze, but late this afternoon they began pouring sand on the burning truck.
We anticipate that the cleanup itself will probably take the better part of tomorrow because the chemical's in a powder form, very fine.
And a spokesman for the chemical manufacturing company says that some of the chemical was destroyed by the heat of the fire, and he says the challenge will be to remove all of the chemical without spilling any particles, allowing those particles to get into the air. They're still trying to find the driver. He is missing, but some of the witnesses say they never saw him get out of the cab of the rig.
All right, Barry, thank you.
Thousands of people in and around the Balch Springs area have been evacuated tonight.
Texas News 5's Brian Mylar joins us now from the North Mesquite High School, where residents from the area near the accident are taking refuge tonight. Brian?
Well, Mike, there are a lot of tired and frustrated people in Balch Springs. Those evacuations have been going on all day. As you said, we are at North Mesquite High School, but there are still a few kids here waiting to be picked up by their parents. As I said, those evacuations have been going on. It's slow right now, but earlier today, Balch Springs was a massive confusion.
City of Balch Springs, we need you to leave to the west of the city of Balch Springs.
Emergency crews and volunteers were out in force in Balch Springs today, trying to get as many people evacuated as quickly as possible. The very young and the very old went first. What do you think about all this?
Something else, isn't it?
Is she on that bus by any chance? Did you look?
They went in wheelchairs, walkers, and buses. For many, the sudden order to leave their homes left them scared and confused.
All of a sudden, you're sitting there eating on a bologna and cheese sandwich. Somebody come banging on your door. You need to get out your apartment. We're evacuating. I said, what? Well, we don't know. It's just a chemical spill. Just get out.
A while ago, I was kind of scared because I was afraid someone was going to get hurt because of this stuff.
Okay, can you give me that address, and I'll be more than happy to send somebody out to check on him?
Balch Springs City Hall was the center of the evacuation effort. The Mesquite School District also pitched in to house some of the evacuees.
I can't say enough about how calm everybody's been, because you'd think something like this would cause a panic almost, and they've been amazingly calm.
They requested that you evacuate the park, and your family members, the wind is changing, they're concerned for you.
We don't have to be out here.
Well, they're asking you that you do it now.
The evacuation was continuing late this afternoon as the Countryside Trailer Park was evacuated. Residents tried to take it all in stride.
What do you think about having to leave like this?
I don't think much of it. I don't like that explosion this morning either.
Yeah, it was pretty rough?
Yeah, scared me.
Yeah.
That black smoke went up, looked like an atomic bomb went off.
And many folks like Paul Whitworth are trying to return to their homes this afternoon, but they're finding roadblocks. Texas News 5's Jay Gray continues our team coverage this afternoon with more on that. And Jay, they've got to be pretty frustrated.
A lot of motorists frustrated. We're here at Beltline and Lawson Road. We're in a unique position here. First of all, about a little over an hour ago, we had folks that were being evacuated from about a half-mile down this road. We're about a mile south of the accident site. The wind shifted a bit, and they were sent out. Also in this position, if we shift around here, we have folks coming home from work or trying to find their loved ones.
Down there? Yeah. I have my truck in the shop down here in Mesquite, and we went down and pick it up. About the time that happened this morning, around 7:30. And then, of course, I couldn't get back, and the highway patrol called me. She talked to them, and they said for me to come down here and talk to the police. And this is probably about 30 minutes ago, so evidently evacuated since that time. So
they told us that we had to evacuate because the fumes was blowing our way.
Okay, what? Did you grab everything and left?
Oh, man, we had to leave. We had to leave.
Let me get your name.
And I would say probably 20 to 30 cars left. That was a little over an hour ago. The main point here is folks coming home from work, folks, some just finding out about the accident, everybody a bit confused, and we still don't know when they'll be allowed back to their homes.
Okay, thank you very much, Jay. The chemical causing all the trouble here is called Aldicarb.
However, the experts tell us that a person would have to have direct exposure to that chemical for quite some time for it to be seriously harmful. The signs of Aldicarb poisoning include dizziness, salivation, excessive sweating, vomiting, blurred vision, pinpoint pupils, and muscle twitching. Now, while we look again at the accident, joining us on the phone is Jill Hokus, Associate Director of the National Pesticide Telecommunications Network. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Hokus. This insecticide, Aldicarb, is pretty nasty stuff. It's the most toxic insecticide registered with the EPA. What is it used for?
It's a common granular form insecticide that's used within Texas for insect control in fields like cotton, sugarcane, pecans. It's typically incorporated down into the soil, so it's not usually applied as a spray.
Ms. Hokus, a lot of these people are scared tonight. How much exposure would they have to get in order to be harmed by this pesticide?
They would really need to have direct exposure to the chemical, and the greatest threat is really going to be to the emergency medical personnel. The people who were right there at the site during the accident. People who live near the area are probably not going to be exposed to the chemical because we've been told that the chemical will combust when it is on fire, so there should be very little residue left after that fire is extinguished.
All right, thank you so much. Jill Hokus, Associate Director of the National Pesticide Telecommunications Network, and we appreciate your time.